Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Tacho here, and we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. So today, with the FEH Pass, we got ourselves a copy of Booty Queen Olwen. Pretty awesome stuff. I mean, I love the artwork on this unit. Really nice Resplendent artwork that we got this time around. Now, it's not really like the old Olwen had any bad art or anything like that. But still, I mean, it's always nice to get some upgraded artwork for some of the older units. And Olwen's been in the game for a long time now. She was on the very first banner outside of the Day 1 banners, which was pretty much just a sibling banner. And it came with units like Salif and Julia, and also Reinhardt and Olwen, and so on. So, Olwen is an OG in this game, and it's about time she got some love and respect. So, let's go ahead and take a look at Olwen today, and we're just going to discuss some builds and possible setups for her. So we're going to start things off by taking a look at her base kit. So she comes with the one and only Dire Thunder, which is still to this day one of the best tomes in the entire game. It allows you to do a brave attack at the cost of -5 speed. So it's pretty much the reason why Reinhardt is such a big deal. And the fact that Olwen also has access to this tome is very nice. Now there is one key difference between Olwen and Reinhardt, and that is the fact that Olwen actually has some speed to work with, whereas Reinhardt is pretty much just all attack. Olwen's got a better balance of attack and speed, even though Olwen's attack is pretty crappy. At the very least, she does have a super boon in attack, which is nice. And now that she's getting +2 attack from the Resplendent bonus, that actually bumps her attack up to 32 if you have the attack super boon. So she's going to end up tying for attack with Reinhardt as long as Reinhardt doesn't have plus attack IVs. So Olwen is definitely in a much better situation than she was prior to getting the FEH Pass bonus. And having that +2 to attack and speed is really going to help her out, actually. In fact, getting the +2 to speed right now makes her the fastest Blue Tome cavalry unit in the game, where she's just barely able to beat out Spring Catria by 1 point. And the rest of her base kit just includes some basic stuff. Reposition, which is very good, obviously. Warding Blow, which is pretty much fodder, and Ward Cavalry, which isn't really all that bad, but I think Goad Cavalry is probably the better way to go if you wanted to go with one of the 2-range cavalry buff skills. So not too shabby of a base kit, actually, but I mean, the main takeaway is that she comes with Dire Thunder, which is pretty much all you need to care about. So we already touched upon this a little bit, but for recommended IVs on Olwen, I'm going to have to say go for plus attack. She does have a super boon in attack, and as long as you've got that, along with the +2 from being a Resplendent hero, that puts her at a well-rounded 32 attack, which ties with a neutral IV'd Reinhardt for 32 attack as well. So regardless of what you might think, she doesn't actually trail on attack that bad compared to Reinhardt. And this might sound like a bit of a hot take, but I feel like at higher merge levels, Olwen might actually outperform Reinhardt just because she has that better speed to work with. So sacrificing 3 points in attack for like 12 or more points in speed is going to be worth it, and being able to go for those quad attacks is going to be really nice. The one bad thing, of course, though, is that Reinhardt is easily mergeable, being a 3 or a 4-star summon, whereas poor Olwen is still 5-star locked. I have no idea why, but I mean, Insys just decides to shaft some of these earlier released units for who knows why. Alright, but with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about the budget build. So for this one, we're going for a Dire Thunder quad setup. We have Fury 3 to raise some stats and also provide the chip damage, so we can get into Desperation and Brazen range. And once we're there, we're going to gain +7 to attack and speed, and it's going to be a lot more likely for her to start doing quad attacks with Dire Thunder at that point. Obviously, if you can, you're going to want to support her with some cavalry buff skills like Hone Cavalry, so she's going to gain +6 to her attack and speed. And we're going for Luna as the special as opposed to Moonbow, mainly because unlike Reinhardt, Olwen has a shot at going for those quad attacks, so in the best case scenario, she's going to hit the foes 3 times in a row, and that final 4th hit on the quad is going to be a Luna. So she has some very good synergy with 3-hit cooldown specials, assuming she's able to get the full quad off. But if you don't want to run her with Dire Thunder, you can always feel free to just go for Blar Blade instead. and it's real easy to get +6 to all stats on cavalry units like her. So it's not going to be too hard to max out the damage on the Blade Tome. Another nice thing about Blarblade is that she's getting back 5 speed from not having to use Dire Thunder. So definitely some good stuff there. Okay, so for our next build, we're going with a more support style Olwen here. We have Flora Guide Plus, which is going to inflict a -5 speed and res debuff on foes within 2 spaces of her, which is really good, of course, because that means Olwen or one of your other units is going to be able to take advantage of that debuff effect. It works in a similar manner to Ashnard's Gurgurant weapon. So these weapons are just really nice for support and also overall versatility. And to just hammer home the support role even further, I decided to go with Speed and Res Ruse, Attack Feint, and Joint Drive Attack. So all you really have to do with this Olwen is go ahead and rally one of your allies, and she's going to be providing a ton of debuffs on the foes, so that either Olwen or your ally that she's supporting is going to have a really easy time against the foes. You do have a couple of other options though, of course. Like, if you don't want to use Speed and Res Ruse, you could go for something else, like maybe Attack and Speed Ruse or Defense and Res Ruse or something like that. So that way she's going to be able to support your physical allies as opposed to pretty much just being locked to supporting mages and magic types. It definitely sucks though that we don't have Res Feint as a Sacred Seal just yet. So that's pretty much why I decided to go for Speed and Res Ruse as opposed to Attack and Speed Ruse. It's just going to help Olwen out herself a lot more in the case that you want her to be the one doing the fighting, and you're going to want to have other allies use rallies on her. But of course, you could also go for a snag skill instead if you'd prefer to run positioning skills as opposed to rally skills. And being able to get the debuffs when you're using stuff like reposition or smite or shove or whatever makes it a lot easier for your units to get into position. So even though the snag skills do not inflict guard or aren't quite as easy to predict which foes you're going to debuff, they do still come in handy because you're allowed to run repositioning assists, which are just generally a little bit better. And if you prefer, you could just go for Joint Drive Speed as opposed to Joint Drive Attack. That way she's going to have a better chance to double attack the foes. But for me personally, I just like stacking attack as high as you can, so I do have a preference for Joint Drive Attack. And for the Sacred Seal, if you don't want to focus solely on debuffs, you could just go ahead and give her Swift Sparrow instead of Attack Feint. And that way she's going to pile on some more damage and speed when she's attacking. So it could be a more offensive option for you. And finally, we're going to be taking a look at a more focused offensive Olwen build. This one's going to be running Juicy Wave Plus because it comes with Desperation built in. So with that freeing up the B slot, we are able to run lull skills on Olwen. So a pretty deadly combo actually, having Desperation and lulls in one. We've also got Attack and Speed Push 4 to gain some attack and speed and cause chip damage, so we can get into Brazen Range and start gaining even more stats at that point. Attack and Speed Push isn't really ideal for longer battles though, like if you're playing in Tempest Trials or Chain Challenges or whatever. You may prefer to have something like Fury 4 or maybe even Swift Sparrow 3 if you don't want your A-slot passive to burn out in longer fights. But of course, in short bursts, Attack and Speed Push 4 is going to be better. Alternatively though, if you don't want to run Juicy Wave, you could go for Dire Thunder and Desperation in the B slot instead. And at that point, it's just going to turn into a high budget version of the budget build I showed off earlier. Dire Thunder is definitely worth building around on her, I think, because unlike her brother, she does have a chance to get those quad attacks. So very good stuff for sure. Also, you're free to run Joint Drive Speed instead of Joint Drive Attack if you go with Dire Thunder, because that way you're just going to get back 4 points in speed, and it really softens the -5 speed you would take from Dire Thunder. So in that one situation, I would say maybe Joint Drive Speed could be a little bit better than Joint Drive Attack. But it's a real customizable build, and you're free to just build her the way you want. So that just about wraps us up for Olwen. Now, it looks like our next Resplendent hero is going to be Erica. And I don't know why, but they revealed her a couple of days ago, so really early in advance we got to see this Erica. And my initial thoughts when I first saw her in the bulletin board was that I think her artwork is just trying a little bit too hard to be adorable. it just comes off to me as like one of those anime that focuses on magical girls and like Sailor Moon style transformations and things like that. But if that type of thing is up your alley, then you probably adore this artwork for Erica. I've got a preference for the old one though, because I felt like it was a little bit classier and made her feel more like a princess as opposed to some kind of J-pop waifu. So definitely let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on Resplendent Erica, and who do you think is going to be the next Resplendent hero that we get? I'm just going to assume it's going to be another 5-star exclusive after this. But who knows? I mean, for all we know, they might throw us a bone here and give us another Resplendent alt that is going to be 3-star or 4-star summonable. They haven't really done 2 in a row of those types of heroes yet, but they have no problems at all giving us 2 in a row for 5-star exclusives. So it is what it is. But that's all for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the discussion about Olwen and the builds that we showed off. Thanks so much for watching the video and supporting the channel. And as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, guys, and I will catch you again on the flip side.